Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. Qinmu scrutinized Emperor Yanfeng and found him resembling a torn sack stuffed with grain. From a ruptured sack, grain would spill without cease. So too did fresh blood pour unendingly from the Emperor's wounds. His plight was dire beyond words. His qi and blood were ebbing away at a terrifying pace. As they drained, thunderous reverberations burst forth from within his divine treasures. Like heaven and earth collapsing into ruin, the divine treasures were already crumbling. If not treated at once, he would not survive 2 hours before perishing. So it is Pallas Grandee. Emperor Yanfeng forced his eyes open and asked faintly, "Can I still be saved?" Qinmu inspected his injuries in meticulous detail. His 10 fingers flew like dancing butterflies as he employed heavenly devil creation technique to seal the Emperor's souls and spirits, preventing them from dispersing from his flesh. In an instant, Emperor Yanfeng lost the ability to speak, even his eyeballs frozen in place. Qinmu drew out dragon saliva and applied it carefully to the wounds. Lifting his gaze, he noticed Blind and Oldmar had already departed. Are they drawing those pursuers away? Uncertain, Qinmu merely instructed the dragon Qilin, "Return to Granny's house." The dragon Qilin turned about. Qinmu mounted its back, feeding Emperor Yanfeng more dragon's saliva while kneading his body to press out the congealed blood. Calculating swiftly in his mind, he produced several spirit pills. When he had comprehended unity technique, the flaw within him had exhausted his qi and blood, his vitality nearly extinguished. In that desperate hour, he had refined 2 kinds of spirit pills to preserve his life, spirit Buddha pills to replenish vitality, and blood-thriving pellets to restore qi and blood. In the end, he had even invoked spirit-returning pill great supplement technique, devouring a red dragon carp king to fill the hollow void within. The spirit pills now resting in his palm were blood-thriving pellets. Qinmu hesitated. Emperor Yanfeng might yet be saved, though his qi and blood were failing. But if he consumed blood-thriving pellets and his qi and blood surged violently, the collapsing divine treasures might shatter outright. Emperor Yanfeng's aptitude was extraordinary. Should the energy within his divine treasures erupt without restraint, there would be no channel to release that torrential force. His body would explode instantly. Qinmu and the dragon Qilin alike reduced to ashes by the unbridled blast. Yet if the Emperor's qi and blood were not replenished, his life would hang by a thread. I must first guide the energy from his divine treasures out before restoring his qi and blood. Qinmu pondered. Silver needles would be the finest tool to channel the raging power outward, yet if plunged into the divine treasures, they might melt instantly, unable to guide the dissipating force in time. The next method was sealing, locking the energy of Emperor Yanfeng's divine treasures within his body. But Qinmu lacked the profound cultivation required to seal the Emperor's power. The final method was to use spirit pills, or poison, to dissolve his cultivation entirely. But such pills were refined from virulent herbs. A single misstep, and Emperor Yanfeng's body itself might dissolve. Qinmu resolved upon the second method. Though he could not seal Emperor Yanfeng's cultivation, Granny C surely could. Even if I save him, he will only become a useless man. A heaviness pressed upon Qinmu's heart. Emperor Yanfeng was in his prime, his physique robust. He could have lived 200 or 300 more years, yet after this calamity he would be reduced to an ordinary mortal with but a few decades remaining. For a sovereign of a generation to become common flesh and bone, could even Emperor Yanfeng endure such a blow? Qinmu could not imagine the despair awaiting him upon waking. Still, sealing the energy within may grant him a chance to repair his divine treasures. He shook his head. The hope was faint. The dragon Qilin returned to Granny C's dwelling in the forest. Qinmu's vital qi surged forth. Lifting Emperor Yanfeng without the slightest jolt, Granny C emerged upon hearing the commotion and was stunned. "Mu'er, what have you done?" "Emperor." "You plan to skin him and take the throne yourself? Rascal, you grow bolder by the day." She beamed with delight before worry clouded her brow. "But the 3,000 beauties in his imperial harem are all vixens. Be careful you don't lose your life to their charms." Qinmu sighed helplessly. "I'm not skinning him to become emperor. Granny, help me seal the energy in his divine treasures so he won't explode. I must purchase herbs, and do not turn the emperor into clothing." Granny, Sai looked troubled. Return before nightfall, otherwise Li Tianxing, that wretch, will delight in donning the Emperor's skin and claiming the throne. Emperor Yanfeng stirred awake and heard their exchange. What sort of granny does Palace Grandee keep? So vicious. And Li Tianxing, is he not dead? How is he here? His injuries overwhelmed him, and darkness claimed him once more. Qin dashed out, gauged his position, and sped toward the nearest city. It was quiet city, small and sparse. After the calamity, many herbs were scarce. Qin hurried through several apothecaries before gathering enough to restore qi and blood, then raced back without pause. He returned before dusk and breathed easier. Examining his patient, he found Granny Si had sealed the energy of Emperor Yanfeng's divine treasures within his corporeal body. The Emperor still lived, though his flesh showed signs of decay. His souls and spirits, however, remained intact. Once you undo Heavenly Devil creation technique, his body will no longer bind his souls and spirits. He will surely die, Granny Si warned. He will not, Qin replied gravely. I can keep his souls and spirits in the mortal world. As long as breath lingers, I can save him. Granny Si shook her head. I shall prepare dinner. Be wary after nightfall. The old devil will stir. Qin shuddered. He fed Emperor Yanfeng blood-thriving pellets and spirit Buddha pills, using vital qi to refine their potency. He inserted silver needles to guide the medicinal energy, then refined more spirit pills. When Granny Si finished cooking, she called him to eat. After supper, she retired to her room, while Qin continued tending the Emperor. Soon, a gentle voice drifted in, Granny Si's laughter echoing. Mu'er, how fares His Majesty? Qin soul quivered at the sound. Without turning, he answered, Cult Master Li, you are also master of our sacred cult. Why act thus? The voice aged instantly, chuckling hoarsely. I am already dead, no longer bound to Heavenly Saint cult. The great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures are yours. Why meddle in my affairs? Hand the Emperor over. I shall use him to seize the throne. I wish to be a female Emperor. Qin remained silent. Suddenly the door burst open. Granny Si strode in with a sneer. If you will not yield him, I shall take him myself. She froze. Qin had planted the Emperor upright in the soil, his body straight as a pine. Qin circled Emperor Yanfeng, executing technique after technique, palm strikes landing upon the upright form. Earth Aeon creation technique, spirit creation technique, and ghost creation technique. Granny Si observed, astonished. Qin hand seals transformed endlessly, each movement crystalline in clarity, as he employed the 7 writings of creation from the great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures to mend Emperor Yanfeng. Lacking sufficient pills and medicines, he could only reverse creation itself, seizing its profound principles to treat him. Cult Master Qin, your Earth Aeon creation technique is flawed. Li Tianxing's coarse voice emerged from Granny Si's mouth. It is not used thus, a proper devil art reduced to such disorder, turned into a righteous art. You shame our Heavenly Saint cult. Moments later, he could not resist again. Spirit creation technique is wrong as well. Who uses it to save lives? And ghost creation technique, utter disgrace. Stabilizing souls and spirits with it. Wait. Interesting. Very interesting. He grew engrossed. Qin path diverged utterly from his own. Techniques meant for harm were transformed into grand arts of salvation. Qin gathered the qi of Mother Earth through Earth Aeon creation technique, channeling heaven and earth's spiritual energy to nourish Emperor Yanfeng's primordial spirit. Spirit creation technique refined hidden injuries. Ghost creation technique stabilized souls and spirits. Li Tianxing, former cult master, had cultivated these arts along the devil path, plundering heaven and earth, seizing others' creation. Granny Si's devil arts came from him as well. His gaze was sharp and ruthless. Qin path opposed his own entirely. Li seized from without. Qin cultivated from within. Though slower, Qin method forged incomparable stability of soul, spirit, primordial spirit, and flesh. Body and mind alike resolute. Most wondrous was the word creation within the 7 writings of creation. Through it, souls, spirits, primordial spirit, physique, and divine treasures could undergo qualitative transformation. Even aptitude, fixed at birth, could be reshaped and elevated. Li Tianxing was a great master, else he would not have led Heavenly Devil cult. Witnessing these familiar techniques tread an unfamiliar road, he was captivated. Every transformation of Qin hands drew him in. Though he yearned to kill Emperor Yanfeng and seize his skin, he longed still more to witness further transformations. Unnoticed, rooster crows pierced the air and sunlight streamed through the window. Li Tianqing sighed. "You have escaped death this night. Tomorrow night, I shall surely kill you both." The body trembled. Granny Sai awoke. "Mu'er, did the old devil harm you?" Qin Mu exhaled deeply, drenched in foul sweat. He was absorbed in observing my creation techniques and forgot himself. "Granny, I must rest. Tomorrow night I shall employ other arts of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures to confound him." When night fell again, Emperor Yanfeng's injuries had improved markedly. He awakened clear-minded. Qin Mu sighed in relief. "Your Majesty, I shall undo heavenly devil creation technique and see if your body can hold your soul." The instant he withdrew the technique, Emperor Yanfeng's body hollowed and collapsed. 2 souls and 2 spirits among his 3 souls and 7 spirits drifted free, ready to depart for Yudu. Qin Mu swiftly invoked Soul Guide, drawing them back into the body, frowning deeply. The Emperor's flesh was still too frail to anchor them. A delicate laughter drifted in. "Cult Master, I have returned. If you lack new tricks, I shall kill the Emperor." Emperor Yanfeng murmured weakly, "What demoness speaks so sweetly?" Qin Mu sealed his 5 senses at once. His body trembled as he manifested the form of Saturn Sovereign, and behind him rose the gate of heaven influence. Granny C rushed in and cried in astonishment. "Saturn Sovereign's Earth Marcus True Technique. What is that upon the gate? Why do you hold a book? Your Earth Marcus True Technique differs from mine." Granny C's eyes were drawn to the enigmatic gate of heaven influence and the scroll it guarded. Yet Qin Mu, with all his knowledge, too found the words on it beyond his understanding. He could only decipher one phrase, Gate of Heaven Influence, a phrase that had nearly cost him his life when confronted by Dutian Devil King. "You wish to learn?" Qin Mu spoke, his tone calm but firm. "I can teach you." Li Tianqing's voice emerged from Granny Sai's lips, dripping with disdain. "Do I need your instruction? You may be a sacred teacher, but I too hold that title, and I am your senior. To be taught by you would be beneath me." A smile tugged at Qin Mu's lips. "Yet you remain ignorant of the true Saturn Sovereign's Earth Marcus True Technique." A flash of irritation crossed Li Tianqing's face, and Granny C's eyes fluttered flirtatiously. "I am the Cult Master Sacred Teacher. What is there I do not know?" Ignoring his prideful retort, Qin Mu focused his mind. The force of Li Tianqing's gaze had nearly entranced him, but Qin Mu stilled his thoughts, invoking the 9 Heavens Eye Awakening skill. His eyes opened wide, revealing layers upon layers of heavenly sight. His vision pierced through the Emperor before him, revealing his ruined divine treasures, a reflection of a crumbled universe. With a shout, the heart of his brows split open, revealing a 3rd eye. Unlike any mortal eye, it exuded an aura of darkness, a malevolent force that caused the candlelight to flicker and dim, as though the very room was enveloped in another ominous world. This eye saw deeper, piercing the soul of Emperor Yanfeng. His primordial spirit stood upon a divine bridge, eager to cross into the God realm, but his secret realms were collapsing. His primordial spirit, once whole, was now shattered, its protection gone, leaving his 3 souls and 7 spirits in disarray. The tumultuous energies battering his body caused his soul to tremble, and even if his corporeal form were saved, his souls and spirits would never survive. Li Tianqing's mood darkened, his voice laced with resentment. "Is this truly the Earth Marquee True Technique of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures?" Qin Mu closed his eyes, dispersing the power of Saturn Sovereign. He paced, lost in thought, while Li Tianqing remained silent, brooding. Then an idea struck Qin Mu. He clapped his hands and smiled. "Why stay here and look from the outside? Let us enter the Emperor's body and examine it more closely. Cult Master Li, come with me." Li Tianqing was startled, his voice tinged with doubt. "How do you intend to enter his body?" "Simple," Qin Mu explained. "There is a technique in the great educational heavenly devil scriptures known as Phantom Illusion Technique. It hides a person within shadows, masking their corporeal form. Then the Heavenly Mustard Seed Technique allows one to shrink and expand their body. Together, these techniques will allow us to shrink down and transform into phantoms, entering Emperor Yanfeng's body to investigate his primordial spirit and divine treasures." Li Tianxing's pride flared. Do you think I don't know that? Qin took a step back and grasped the woman's hand, pulling her toward the Emperor. In unison, they executed the Phantom Illusion technique and Heavenly Mustard Seed technique. As their bodies shrank, they became two black shadows, slipping beneath Emperor Yanfeng's brows and into his body. Even though the Emperor's senses were sealed, he could still feel the two shadows moving within him. The duo paused when they reached his spirit embryo divine treasure. The sight before them was grim. Emperor Yanfeng's divine treasure was shattered, the spirit embryo and platform crumbled, and the sky within was dotted with countless holes, one of which revealed a ghastly white skull. Blood poured into the treasure like a waterfall, and a sword light flickered through the divine treasure, rampaging unchecked. Dao Master's Dao sword, Li Tianxing gasped, astonished. That old Taoist truly left his mark inside. Qin frowned. Can you remove this sword will? Li Tianxing smirked. Why should I help you? Qin smiled in return. You've seen the true techniques of my scriptures. There must be some reciprocity. Even if you don't help, I can always ask Granny C tomorrow. Li Tianxing snorted, his fingers spread wide, unleashing his spatial sealing technique. Vital chi threads intertwined, forming a multi-layered spatial cage, which he hurled at the sword will. The sword will was instantly absorbed, vanishing into the cage. Li Tianxing proudly retrieved the cube, examining it with satisfaction. Multiple-sided spatial sealing technique, Qin remarked. Truly ingenious. You may recognize it, Li Tianxing chuckled, but that doesn't mean you can use it. Qin smiled faintly. Though my cultivation is lacking, I have some knowledge of algebra, enough to set up spatial seals. Our positions may differ, but as sacred teachers, our knowledge should be equal, if not more. Li Tianxing snorted again, but the sound was unexpectedly endearing. They moved on and soon found themselves in the Five Elements divine treasure, where 5 enormous Buddhas sat within a shattered sky. Li Tianxing flicked his fingers, and devil chi transformed into lotus flowers beneath the Buddhas, reducing them to ash. Red Lotus Devil Heart Mantra, Qin remarked, his vital chi flaring. A red lotus flew from his hand, burning with purer flames than Li Tianxing's. Yet, his cultivation still limited its power. The two proceeded to the 6 Directions divine treasure, which was also in ruin. Half a heaven remained, under assault by the Buddhas and gods of the 6 Directions. Li Tianxing sighed. This emperor's divine treasures are beyond repair. Even if you save him, he will be a mere shell of his former self. Why bother? Qin shook his head. I must save him, for the heavenly saint cult. Li Tianxing, now with a softened gaze, helped clear the remnants of Rulai's divine art. Though I am no longer the sacred cult master, I once wore that mantle. I will act for the benefit of the cult. Together they moved to the 7 Stars divine treasure, where the sun and moon had been replaced by 2 trembling divine swords. The swords unleashed sword chi that tore the air asunder. 7 Stars divine treasure, Mu mused. It should have 7 stars, but these 2 swords... His voice trailed off. Li Tianxing clarified. The 7 stars consist of the sun and moon, joined with the 5 elements of the 5 Elements divine treasure. But now Emperor Yanfeng's treasures are shattered. What remains is unstable. The duo ventured deeper into the Emperor's divine treasures, witnessing the destruction of his celestial and spiritual realms. Li Tianxing's bitterness was palpable, but Qin remained resolute. Why must you save him? Li Tianxing asked once more. Qin smiled. We must live life fully to fulfill our purposes. Li Tianxing's cruel smile softened. Then I too will live my life to the fullest, becoming the most beautiful woman in the world. Qin scalp tingled, unsure if it was Granny C's excitement or his own growing unease. Together they entered the final divine treasure, the divine bridge divine treasure. The bridge stretched across the heavens, shattered in parts, leaving a broken path to the gods. Li Tianxing's voice dripped with mockery. The Emperor is hopeless. I'll take his skin for myself and claim eternal peace. Qin expression hardened. You are not suited to be Emperor, only to bring ruin to all. The two stood in the ruins, facing the end of an era.